Okay. Yes. Anabelle Munro, hi, welcome. How are you, gorgeous woman?
I am good, steaming away.
Yeah, I think we're officially in summertime now, aren't we?
Amazing. Like 2 days in my garden turned from green to brown.
Oh no. Like, first of all, thank you so much for joining me. I mean, first of all, I have to let you know, I am so inspired by you. You are truly a Renaissance woman. You are, first of all, your mother and a wife, so that is huge. You're also an actress, a writer, a director, a producer. You know, you make stuff happen. Like, you think about it and you do it, you know, and I love that. You know, you let nothing hold you back. And so when I met you with Dell as part of the AOF MegaFest, I was so impressed with you. I mean, you had your own film festival as part of this MegaFest. You were making things happen. You were introducing people. You were making connections. You just had this awesome energy about you. And I'm like, I got to get to know you, you know? And so it's just so great connecting with you. And then when you told me you have a book coming out, I'm like, okay, we need to talk, you know?
I know.
And you have your first volume comes out next week, May 13th, The Skeleton Key, Part 1.
Yes.
First of all, I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself. I know I just came out with a lot, but I would love for you to just let us know.
You did a pretty amazing job and like introduced me so nicely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm a filmmaker originally from Germany, born and raised in Germany. Started out in theater and then ventured to film, but I always perceived filmmaking or being an actor more like a storyteller than just solely focused on the acting part, you know. And I think that's why all the other elements were always important for me. And the writing as well, you know, because maybe the education in Germany is a little different, that you study how to direct when you become an actor as well. And you work with your fellow actors and you go deeply into the script as well. And that helps you, you know, come up with your own content.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of content because
you
just wrote The Way of Perfection. You co-wrote it, correct?
Yeah.
And this came out late last year, but it's also based on something that's really dear to you. You know, and this is, I feel like this has like been your huge pivot in your life. Now, how would you like to jump into that? Because I know this is something that's going to resonate so strongly with so many people.
Yeah. Where do I start? So, but parallel to that whole acting life and storytelling thing, I found acting in the midst of my darkest time ever, like 13-year-old Anabelle, just experiencing abuse by a teacher, and not in a sexual way. There is something called emotional abuse. And for some reason, it was just the worst match, this teacher and I, and you know, like a girl in puberty, trying to tell anybody, hey, my teacher hates me, you know, and the world responds like, yeah, chin up, you know, oh, puberty has hit, that's so sad, poor girl. But he was like actually really abusing me every single lesson that I had to go there, and unfortunately he was my main teacher. At the same time, I found acting and pursuing that, you know, it just came at the right time, became my path to healing, because I got very sick due to this abuse. I developed an eating disorder. And I was so ashamed and so afraid because I made a lot of wrong choices. I stopped going to school. I had to repeat a year from being the A+ student. Suddenly, boom, you know, so there was a whole, and nobody understood what is going on with this girl. Like last year she was the angel, now she's the devil in town. And acting helped me through this. So for some reason, I never ever talked to anybody. I never went to therapy. I never never opened up to anyone about this and decoded my addiction. And I knew that going my path and finding my tribe and doing what I need to do will bring me healing. And it turned out to be true. Cut a long story short, so I'm completely recovered, better, stronger, happier, freer than ever, because now I'm an adult and I don't have to go to school anymore. And if I can choose my teachers and, live in my own place and all of that. And I, in the industry, and you might know this very well, a lot of people have problems with addiction, and for actresses, specifically eating disorders are a very, very big problem, because we think we do have to look a certain way. And so I was talking, once I was healed, very open about it, and I would talk about this, when I had my eating disorder. So people started opening up to me, like in the elevators. Oh my God, I don't know you, but I heard you talk about eating disorder. I have one. I never talked to anybody. How did you heal? And I'm like, wow, man, she has an eating disorder. She's freaking awesome. How could that happen? And it only dawned on me, wow, this is like a really big problem. So I didn't know that because I never talked to anybody, how many people are affected, And so by working one-on-one, because I had done the work intuitively and like saw that pattern in how they were behaving, I really helped those individuals. Then I got a huge opportunity when we were able to move to New York, which was a dream of mine. And I kind of made a deal with God. I was like, to say thank you, I really want to become active in that recovery scene and just let people know you can recover from this. Because one thing I found out is that everybody I talked to with an eating disorder thought they would always have to have it in some way, like they would never really overcome it. Like alcoholics always say they're always alcoholics, but in recovery forever. With eating disorders, that's not the case. That's not what I experienced. I eat birthday cakes and cookies. I eat whatever I want, and I love cooking, eating. There's no more anxiety. So I wanted to share this. And then I found out in New York, there's no avenue for this, because I went to meetings and everybody introduces themselves. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I am a bulimic. I am an anorexic. And when it was my turn, I was like, hi, I'm Anabelle and I'm a completely healed ex-bulimic. And everybody got like cross with me because I wouldn't stick to the shape, to the structure of how these meetings are run. So I would meet individually with people, but it got so overwhelming and exhausting. And that's when the idea for the book came about, because it's like one-on-one. I'm just gonna die of dehydration from all the talking. You see, I have a lot.
Right. No, and I think that's so wonderful. What was it that made you realize that it was a problem? Because you were dealing with this teacher that just caused so much trauma for you. Because as a teenager, you want to be liked. You want your teacher to like you, and So, but what was the turning point for you that made you realize that it was a problem? No, not with the teacher, but when you developed this and became bulimic, and your body was going through this trauma. But do you remember the time that you realized, okay, this has to stop?
Absolutely.
Or that you need to make the change?
Here's the thing. So I think not enough people know that pretty much every addiction starts with some form of trauma, loss, like some shell shock, and you do not know how to handle it. So you take a self-soothing tool that's like instant fix style, right? In my case, it was dieting. It was not actually food, but dieting, trying to be liked and popular. And then, I had a saying in my head that my brother once told me, because his girlfriend was bulimic, and he said, man, my girlfriend, I'm really worried about her, but she says who doesn't do that is stupid. In that moment, like a year after the abuse, when I had to repeat the year, and when I was already rock bottom, and I was like, I just hate myself, I want to be liked. And then that line came back, who doesn't do that is stupid. And I was like, my life is so shitty already, I might as well try that out. Maybe I'm stupid, you know? And then I tried it out. And so in the beginning, it's like a flirtation phase and you experiment. It's pretty much an experiment. And then your body chemistry is out of whack. And then the addiction does you. You don't do it anymore. It does you, but you don't know it. You think you are the evil person doing all these horrible things. So I think that I knew that it was a problem was pretty much, I could pretty much say after doing it the first time, because it was like, wow, am I really doing that? I'm doing that. And it's like overstepping that line where, you know, now I'm turning bad. And then you keep on going a little bit and then you're hooked. And then you're like, oh, I want to stop this. And the moment you know that you can't stop this is probably a couple months in, when it just becomes more and more, and you like, there's nothing sacred anymore. You go further and further, you know. But you notice it soon.
I took a peek at your book, and it reads so well. I'm so proud of you. Great job. And I will definitely order it on Amazon. You know, which you got to support. But one word that stuck out with me was rage. You know, the rage you had. When did you first realize it was rage?
Well, with the eating disorder, the rage was there after meeting this teacher and being helpless, being utterly helpless, being on the losing side of life, because teacher is an authority. It's ultimately in the teacher's hand to decide over your path, right? And I was trying to reach out, but I wasn't heard. I saw my words like dropping off at people's ears and falling down, and knowing they can't hear me because they think I'm just a crazy teenager saying my teacher hates. No, it's serious. I'm telling you guys, my classmates didn't help me. I was always stepping up for everybody. And I went to them and said, man, how many times did I step up for you? Can you not tell anybody that I have really issues here? Sorry, Annie, but I don't want to, because I don't want to be next.
Right.
Was the response.
Well, it's great that you were able to have, it was great that you had friends to be able to share with, because so many people are ashamed, like your movie, you know, it's like a big secret, you know, and she wants to, you know, keep it to herself, and, you know, there is that shame with it. But you had the courage and the strength to be able to talk about it even at such a young age. How many years was this a part of your life?
Well, 7 years, and I wasn't able to talk about my eating disorder. I was only able to talk about the teacher. You know,
I see.
I was not able to talk about the eating disorder. I was so ashamed and embarrassed because I was already like so on the bottom with having to repeat a year in school as an A+. I was like identified as highly gifted in the first year in this very special school and was always top of the class, and then boom. Because I think that's why the teacher picked me as well as the victim, to be in control of the whole class, to teach them what happened. So I was only able to talk about that, but eating disorder, never. That's like the worst nightmare for somebody with an eating disorder to talk about this. And I was not able to until I healed for all those 7 years.
But it's hard to say what it takes to make you want to heal, because a lot of times people don't think that there's something wrong. They think this is how they're handling their pain, how they're dealing with their issues, sometimes by self-mutilation or, you know, alcohol, drugs, but they don't get to that turning point. What was your turning point that really made you feel you had to stop, you had to do something? Or was it just your brother's comment that stuck with you?
No, that was only what started. But I knew I do not want this very soon. And I think the majority of the addicts probably know it too, that they don't want that, but they're just stuck. It's a default mechanism working in them, right? Like, for example, the bulimic. Like, think about your body chemistry with the insulin. There are so many fine-tuned mechanisms, like neurotransmitters, then you connect, without knowing it, food with the reward center. And also your stomach, right? Like, your stomach gets extended. You are inside an obese person, but you have the body of a regular person, but that obese stomach always needs to be filled. You like have a ginormous hunger, and that's where these binge attacks come from. And you try to stop it, so you try to diet more, and then whoa, this hellhole opens up and you just need to eat. It's really, you are stuck and you know it, and the addicts know it too. I don't believe that there are really a lot of addicts who say, oh no, that's my best friend. You know, I heard it in the eating disorder community that the addiction is the best friend, but that's only in the beginning, and that's a lame excuse, because inside you're hurting and you know it. I cannot imagine that a single soul loves lying, stealing, hiding, pretending everything's fine, and inside you, like, you're locking yourself in the bathroom, shoot up or play with food, whatever you do, and feel good about it. Never ever. You know you want to get better, but you just can't. You don't know how.
So when you started writing about your experiences, I can only imagine how cathartic that was for you. But were there times when it was really hard for you to write about your experiences?
Not at all. It was actually so easy. It just took forever because, see, I was already completely done and over with the whole thing. And the sole purpose was to give to the people who have this, because I noticed they think they can never recover from this. And I thought, that's what a shame, man. You just have to change that single thought. And there is your opportunity to fully heal and enjoy food again. That's why I wrote this book. So it was like totally joyous for me to just go back in my memory and like stop at all the milestones I experienced, just as a gift to whoever is going through this, thinking, oh, life is just not fair and it just hurts, you know. That was the payoff. So it was easy. And the painful stuff, I already had done the work of going back to that teacher and that ex-boyfriend and that woman that was mean and all these people. Through the recovery, I already went back there and gave hugs to myself and to them. So there was no more trauma or something, you know.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you really allowed yourself to heal and forgive yourself.
Oh yeah.
And do you find that you're really more in a state of balance now than ever before?
Oh yeah, but it is like 20 years ago, you know, my recovery, 20 years. And that's so important for this book as well, to say, I said it back then, this is the last time, 100%, and it's done. And then have this 20-year solid proof of, yeah, I said so 20 years ago.
Well, I think it's so great too, because so many traumatic events for people who've always kept it under the rock, you know, kept it secret or in the closet, you know, it's all coming out now. So there can be like this universal healing for everyone. Right. So you having this book is so beautiful, because it's like, okay, you had this happen, but you were able to overcome it with love and grace and become this incredible Renaissance woman. You know, so what inspired you to write the movie or work on the movie? Was this before, during, or after?
I did not write it. I was brought on the team. So Leanne, the lead actress and my co-director, wrote a script, but it was still in a kind of a journal format. And I don't think she has directed anything before. So my friend, the executive producer, Jennifer Olaf, gave me a buzz and said, hey, so can you jump on a call with us? And I'm like, okay, I think they want to ask me as a producer just for some advice. And so they are talking the whole time about these two directors, right? And I'm like, so guys, okay, so who is that other director you're talking about? Oh, we forgot to ask you, would you like to be the director? I was like, oh, yeah, sure. And from then on, you know, so there was this script that needed a bit more work because, you know, Leanne is in a different recovery stage and I had a different perspective, and then also storytelling wise. So we went in there together again, also with Jennifer, and took it apart and put it back together, and yeah, made it more dramatic and all of that.
Well, the trailer looks amazing. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Thank you.
Will it be turned into a full-length feature, or will it stay a short? Or
Yes, but you know, it will be a different genre very likely, and the focus has to be different because see, eating disorders are a very unsexy topic. And mainly appeal to people who are familiar with the topic. And we believe that if you make a movie about something that you want to educate everyone on, you have to kind of like come through the back door. You know what I'm saying? Where the eating disorder is a side piece, but you connect with the character and also the genre, you know, like an eating disorder drama, pretty heavy. I think if we have a feature film and we have ideas, it's going to be more in the thriller direction, and maybe with the you know, healthcare insurance system. There's a lot of dodgy stuff going on, which is part 3 of my book, because I went undercover in a treatment center because I never experienced recovery and I did not want to not recommend treatment. So I went in a couple of treatment centers and worked there as staff, and there's a lot of dodgy stuff going on. So it's probably more in that direction if we revisit it, or a comedy. I have a part of my book is good probably for a comedy, romantic comedy.
Well, that's good. You have some romance,
you know, because
right.
Nobody wants to see people constantly vomiting and the pain. It's like, give me 3 seconds of that. I'm good.
Yeah, but just the situations that lead to it,
Yeah.
I think people would find very interesting. You know, I mean, you wouldn't show someone regurgitating, but no, it's just so interesting, the things that happen to us and the triggers and, you know, the energies between people, and it makes you wonder, you know, if that never happened, or what if, you know, how different would life be? And obviously you can't think that way. You could just always just be present in the moment of now. And I really get the sense of that's what you do now. You're really in the present moment, and you're able to do all these things and be such a huge influence on so many people.
It's the gift of my addiction, because it was becoming conscious of who I am and what I need to be happy, to follow my bliss. You know, on my YouTube channel, every video ends with follow your bliss. And I really mean that. And the methodology, if I can sum it up in one nutshell, is to become an expert of yourself. That's all the work you have to do, because we are all individual. We need different things in order to thrive. And if it's cut off either through the environment or what I'm doing in my profession, if I'm suppressing a dream, whatever it is, I need to do this self-analysis in all layers I have and just remove those obstacles. And it's possible. It's all in here.
Now, if you had a chance to go back to your 13-year-old self, what would you tell her? What would you say to her?
Oh, I would probably go to the 14-year-old who starts purging and say, hey, this is not you. You have gone through trauma, my darling, and that's coming from there. And that is, by the way, you asked me about the catharsis with writing the book. That is the big epiphany I had during the writing process. There was one, and that was this one. That it actually all started with this teacher's abuse. Because I was starting to write more about the tools that I discovered, but I was like, oh my God, trauma. And then I did more research. And then when I went in the treatment center, every single person had a horrific story, you know, and they weren't connecting the dots, where it was like, yeah, that caused it, baby. That was the beginning. And then a year later, you started doing heroin, or drinking, or purging, or cutting.
Right. So how can a person take responsibility for themselves of what is happening, regardless of the trauma?
Self-love. And also, I call it de-dramatization, where instead of like being in there suffering, you know, and feeling guilty, you remove yourself a step and you observe more analytically. It's like a scientist. I describe it as putting on your, you know, lab coat and get your little notepad and just like look at this. Oh, I'm doing this then and then, without judging. because that inner judge, right, is that, or the inner slave driver, is that very same thing that keeps us in the addiction, that then whispers, oh, you're such a pig, you're a loser, failure, right? It's like that inner voice. And we think that, like it's us, but it's not. It's not. Like we have different voices in our head, and it's not schizophrenia I'm talking about, you know, in the movies, little angel and little devil, but there's more there. There's more than just those good and bad. It's a bit more complex.
Right.
And that's, so self-love, and when in doubt, be proud for every piece of progress you're making instead of beating yourself up, you know, like for example, relapse, instead of saying, oh my God, I did it again, you say, hey, I did it for that and that long, well, and relapse is part of getting better. You know, it's changing the attitude instead of saying, I'm bad, to say, hey, no, I'm trying my best. And even if it's shitty, I'm trying.
And that's what I love about your YouTube videos. They're so empowering. You know, they're short little videos of you really empowering people to take charge of their own life. And I really hope people watch them because, one, I think they're wonderful, and we all have the access to do that. You know, to take responsibility, and you are doing that. Okay, now I have to jump in because everything you've been through. You're a mom, and you have two beautiful children. Everything that you've been through, how do you let your children know that they can really come to you and share with you whatever they're experiencing, so they don't have that same kind of experience you had?
Well, when I feel that, for example, some people give them a little bit of their toxic garbage, right? Like I call it shitsdom instead of wisdom, right? So one-liners we collect in life where we think, oh yeah, this is how life is. No, so I always ask them, how do you feel about that? So I always try to listen to their opinion, that they learn how to put their feelings into words. Because if they're just twirling up there, right, and they can't even express them, then they just get mad and have a tantrum. But helping them to develop their own language and to define how they are actually feeling. So many people don't even know how they feel, right? Like anxiety, they just get grumpy, they're mad at somebody, but actually they have anxiety issues and are overloaded with stress. So if my kids can learn, you know, to identify how they feel and to be confident and to not talk bad about themselves, when I think I caught them maybe twice saying something negative about themselves. I was in preschool. Actually, Lily one day came home and said, I think my belly looks fat. Like actually related to eating disorders, 3.5 years old, you know, and I'm like, my brain goes to, so there was another kid who observed her mom looking in the mirror, my belly looks fat, and that kid is telling my kid that her belly looks fat, because we don't even say about other people fat, or we don't talk this way at home. So again, there to explain to her, hey, we only talk kindly about ourselves and others, and fat is not a very nice word. And now, like, how do you feel about your belly? I kind of like my belly. I said, well, there you go. And then we talk it through, you know, why would this kid say that? Did she maybe want to hurt you? Yeah, she was really mad at me, you know. So there you go. Some people say things, mean things, because they want to hurt you, because they don't feel good about themselves. So I try to teach them to just be aware. But God knows, right? God knows. There's the saying that, for example, psychologists and their children, good luck. There's always a special, or not always, but I've heard from a couple of friends, they have issues, psychological issues in the family, because there's a attraction maybe to have a reoccurring problem. I don't know. I will see when they are getting older. I hope we can keep the dialogue open. That's my goal. And one thing for sure, when they tell me my teacher hates me, I will listen, and I will go to that teacher
and set them straight.
Yeah, I make sure
Right.
my kids are heard.
Good. All
Yeah.
parents should do that.
All parents should do that.
Do all parents.
Always, even if the kids are maybe exaggerating, but go for it with your kids.
No. Well, because you're raising adults. You're raising
Right.
them to be, good people, and we need more of that. So when does your second volume come out? Okay, your first book comes out next week, and the second one, do you plan to have come out right away, or is it something that we're going to have to wait a while for? Or?
The second book is, and that was actually the first book I started to write. It was just hands-on advice. This is cultural, the reason why eating disorders exist, blah, 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 blah. And then when I wrote this, I was like, oh, dude, you need to tell your story first so people believe you. They can connect with us. Why would they listen to their story about all these things if they don't know your story? So the second book is at each chapter is pretty much an essay about a topic. So I'm going to release them as mini books. I want to keep it affordable, and not everybody struggles with the same thing or is interested in the same stuff. Some, like the why do eating disorders exist, might more appeal to somebody more mature who has been in there for longer to just come to grips, versus hands-on. These are binge foods that help you to go through phase 3 in recovery or whatever. It's maybe more for somebody else, and I think that's going to happen within the next few months. COVID-19 has changed the schedule for me dramatically. I wasn't planning on the YouTube channel. I wasn't planning on publishing the book so soon. It was actually on a few tables of literary agents, and 2 publishers showed interest, but I wasn't so sure about them. And then it was, 2021, because of COVID-19, we're scaling back. And I was like, I'm just gonna do it now because I have the time. I'm with the kids here. I have a total strategy for the books, and I'm gonna do my own marketing. It's gonna be easier.
Because that's what you do. You make things happen. That's you.
Right.
You just jump on it.
2021 has stuff to do.
Excuse me. Oh, goodness, I just had that cough.
I love the painting, by the way, and I know you painted it. You amazing.
Oh, thank you. I don't know where that cough came from. I was like, my God.
Hey, we were talking about COVID-19.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. But it has changed. What's that?
You're wearing your mask?
Oh, I hate those things. Yeah, but I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah. I can't breathe through it. Always like.
I know. It's like you have to hold your. Excuse me, 1 second. Yeah. Wow, that was weird. Okay, sorry. So COVID-19. We have a film festival coming up again this summer. That's on hold, but you have your festival, which is Anabelle's most important films, right?
Right. Yeah.
How did that come about? How did you decide to do that?
It came about. I was so Del, the amazing Del Weston, founder of the Action Film Festival and the Action Film Megafest. He has been such a beacon of light in my life and such a support. So the first year, there was 5 years ago, I won Best Actress, and then I'm like mind blown, this amazing gala and whatnot. And a few weeks later, I see on Facebook my picture with weird crowns photoshopped everywhere, and I'm like, what is this? And then Stella had announced I'm the queen of the AOF, of the Action on Film, and I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna make it work. So I came back to the festival, bought myself a crown, and I was like, Del, what's my job here? And okay, you come to the awards shows, and from there it grew, and it became a yearly thing. Then he said, you're queen for life. And then last year I was like, knowing my book, the work with the book series is coming to an end, and really wanting to make a change for impact-driven filmmakers specifically, that's a special little thing with my festival, that managed to create a content that appeals to a broad market, right? That have figured out that marketability issue that a lot of purpose films have trouble with because it's so heavy. I want to honor those, and I want to just be surrounded by them and connect them with my friends, and just inspire and be inspired. And I said, Del, what do you think? I want to call it Game Changers or Big Picture. And he was like, your festival is going to be called Anabelle Munro, the most important films. Really? Del says, I better don't say no. And that's how it came about. It was a big collaboration, and he gave me the platform to develop it, because that muscle is so well trained for Del and his beautiful wife, Teresa. They have been doing this for 16, 17 years. Wow. So, he had a lot of good mentorship and still continues to be my most amazing mentor.
So are you still taking submissions for it right now?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a weird year because we are still in limbo a little bit with Las Vegas news. So we're taking submissions. Should anything not pan out the way with the festival there in Las Vegas in person, we will figure out something else, and nobody's going to submit something and not have it shown somehow. And I think, should it be completely canceled, which I don't think,
not
20 submissions will be shown 2021. We are so pro filmmaker, and there's no sponsorship issue that we have where we have to, report back to anyone. We're just really there for the filmmakers.
Well, you two definitely are movers and shakers. Both of you make things happen, and that is so exciting, and that is so inspiring. I want to go back to, I know in the industry, as an actor, or even just as a woman in this business, we have to deal with, not only how we look, how old we are. I mean, there are all these isms placed on women.
Right.
And so I like to think that there is a shift happening where people are really beginning to embrace their true body types, who they really are, and really come to love themselves. Can you really see that shift happening and being successful, or do you think it's going to take a lot more work to do? Or how, from everything you've experienced and people you've met with these different disorders or different experiences rather, because everything we go through teaches us something, hopefully, eventually. But do you see it happening to one day people will just really be happy with what they look like, and society will kind of embrace that? Or do you think it'll always be like an uphill battle?
I think it will still take a tiny little while. But I hope it goes much faster, just for the simple reason that I feel, on a general note, recovery is still very often misunderstood as acceptance, where it's like that, I'm accepting it, I'm at a point where I'm accepting it, but I know you can go so much further than accepting it. You can really be super happy and blissful. It's a spiritual journey as well. That's a whole other topic. I feel it has become really tricky to talk about spirituality rather than easier. I noticed, in my social media, whenever I say something that has the slightest spiritual content, there's the biggest backlash.
Really?
Right?
Why is that?
I don't know, because people, I feel, maybe go immediately in a defensive or worry mode where they think, oh, but it's got to be my way, and you cannot go off that. There's this, I don't find it very easy to speak openly about loving God. It's weird, but that's on my to-do list. As soon as I'm done with the whole addiction process, I totally want to get a little bit into that as well, because actually living a life devoted to God is my main priority. I was saying, actually, does that mean I need to be ordained? But for what?
No.
I don't even know. What religion,
I think that goes back to loving yourself, because, I feel, God is in all of us. And I think he wants us to love ourselves. And it's so funny how so many people think, oh, that's so narcissistic or so selfish.
Right.
Like, but they don't realize the more you love yourself, the more love you give. Right. Because you don't hate yourself. You're not hiding, in bathrooms. You're not, hurting yourself, and you're not putting on this fake facade that other people intuitively feel that causes this other rift. So you talking about what you experienced is really creating a balance for so many other people, because it's saying it's okay to talk about it. I experienced this, and if you are experiencing this, share with me. I'm here to hold space for you, because we are love. We are part of God, and God wants us to be whole.
Yes. And it's natural to be happy. But there's this, whole big group of people that like to talk about the wrath, right? The end of the days, God's revenge, and all of that. I think, a
lot of Hollywood movies have been based on that. A lot of Hollywood movies.
I know. So we'll see where it goes, because acceptance is great as a first step, but this being in tune, thinking big picture, to lose the fear of death, right? These are the real topics. If you want to be free inside, you gotta have purpose, dude. And the purpose is not to make that and that much money or be famous, because how long does that last? In my when I was in my eating disorder, it was beautiful timing. So I meet this teacher, and then maybe 2 or 3 months later, I become an atheist, because I'm like, and it was just beautifully feeding into this whole spiral downwards. And I was like, okay, logically, it's just black and finished when we die. So I might as well just do whatever the hell I want. I was also a bully for a little while, because what does it matter, right? So you have to have purpose. Otherwise, what is this? Ice skating, limbo dancing, what is life? You got to ask yourself that question. Why are we here? And where do we go to? Whatever that means for you. I found my answers. Can't prove it. Haven't been near death. I haven't had one of those. Don't want one.
Right. But you found it.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. I think that's great. And hopefully more people start opening up to that and start saying, hey, life is amazing.
Right.
So many beautiful things can be created. And look at you. Look at everything you are doing. That is so inspiring. And you can't, if you think about it, you really can't do that by yourself. You have, it's like you have that inspiration.
And it's also since you're talking about inspiration, it is the tribe and the community, right? To have those people that believe in you. It took me until I was 21, full grown adult, to have my first real girlfriend, a bestie, a BFF. There was maybe one in primary school in first grade, but then you move away and it's not the same. I mean, a chick who you look at and think, wow, she's amazing. And she thinks the same about you. It's and she says, I love you. And I'm like, oh, what did you just say? I love you. It was not, I never knew what it's like. And I did not know how to choose friends either. I had a lot of people that I was trying to help, but I thought it was friendship, but I was nurturing them. And then a lot of jealous people close by. And then through that first girlfriend, and just having recovered, I made it a sport to really curate my inner circle very, very carefully, and just feel and tune in. Do they make me feel better? Do they inspire me? If they don't inspire me, because I'm an empath, I have to stop myself picking them up and always listening to their problems, always coming up with solution, and then they still don't listen, you know. They make the same mistake again and again. So that's great as an acquaintance, but that's not good as a best friend. So it's like that, you know, people like Del Weston. Oh my God, what a archangel, right? And there's my friend Suzette Rocher-Stepp, who did that beautiful cover, who has been such a rock. My friend Natalia, who is like going right now through the book, like by herself. I didn't ask her, and like gets rid of those last little mistakes. And, you know, my husband, like the friends, the close friends, they inspire, they help you do all that. You couldn't do that. And obviously, you know, I read this beautiful line, friends are the trumpet call of God. And there we are again with God. So it's like an extension and that inner circle that lifts you up, and together you can rock.
Right. How long have you been in the United States?
Ew. 14 years, maybe 13. I first moved to New York for 2.5 years. I used to live in New York and then moved to LA. So around about 13 years, maybe.
Wow.
To do calculation, I forget my age sometimes.
Well, who cares about the age? You know?
I think people do. I'm like, oh, wait a second.
But you speak great. Your English is fantastic, you know.
Thanks.
And you know, looking at you, I would never think that you're, you know, from anywhere but here. So, no, I can't tell you how proud I am of you. You know, you really make so much happen, and you really try to, well, you do inspire other people just by being you. And I think that more people just really need to tune into who they are. And
yes.
if they've had trauma, you know, to wake up and say, okay, this happened, you know, life goes on, I can still create. And I feel like you're offering a place for people to turn to and know that it's okay to want to heal, to want to bring it out into daylight, you know.
Absolutely. And I also want to invite people who have had beautiful recovery journeys, full cycle, full happiness, like myself, to just also share their story a little more. Because, you know, unlike the AA community where we have the sponsorship system, we have that with eating disorders too, but there are people out there like me who have just moved on. And it's like, you know, people who are still in it need to hear about those happy stories. So just like sometimes talk a little bit more often, you know. In my Facebook community, I called it Recover ED. I want to build a crossroads for people who have completely recovered to share their tools, like real life people, not therapists. But I mean, therapists are welcome too, but it's mainly for people who are really 100% recovered, meeting people who are still in it, and just have positive, inspiring, hands-on, beautiful conversation that help people. Right. Because what a gift people who have recovered received.
And I think it's hearing those positive stories too that really help up. I think words are so important. I think words, you know, really can affect a person, you know. So to hear the positive stuff, I think it gives hope. But then you have those people who are hurting and they find a comfort in that hurt. They find a safety and security even. And they, of course, they would deny it left and right because they're not yet at the point ready to let go. Yeah. You know, and so to know that it's okay to let go and allow yourself to have that light come to you. And I feel you are doing that. You are offering that light for someone who may be afraid to let go, to show them that you can have this beautiful life. You know, that's always going to have its challenges, but
right, that's the intent. But I just want people to know about the power of their mind. Oh my God, it's everything. And the word, you know, word is the extension of the thought. And that's why words are actually magical spells. Mm-hmm. You know, those one-liners that we carry, they can transform a whole life. what my teacher said to me, how powerful, like black magic or however you want to call it, just the words. He didn't have to like rape me or anything. He just did it with the words and with that sense of humor. And you know what? I was laughing about it partially too, because he was really funny. He was evil, but funny. And it was powerful. It like took me off the path also with the career. God knows what would have happened if I would have stayed the A+ student. Would I be a surgeon? I'm glad it happened the way it did, because I learned, to become conscious, and I learned to find my spirituality like from nothing, without, because I was very spiritual as a little kid, not religious from the parents or anything. And then losing that all and coming back made it, because God came back, piece by piece, whisper by whisper, with the real magic, the positive magic. And that is just so amazing. Great.
And it's still going. You are just growing in leaps and bounds, and it's just so wonderful.
Like
And
all of us.
Yeah, right. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Yeah. Well, I am so proud of it. And I keep saying that because I really am. I mean, you're no excuses. You get an idea, you see it through. Now you ask for help, you reach out to people, you have your tribe, and you make things happen. And so many people are so afraid because they feel they can't do that. And you're saying, yeah, you can. So do it.
Yeah. And I understand. I was there too. I couldn't talk to anybody. So ashamed. Oh my God. But you can do it step by step, like people prone to addiction are most of the time empaths, so they take on other people's feelings. And that's why they have a low self-esteem. I used to have a really bad low self-esteem, because you don't understand when somebody's jealous, because you think, oh, why would anybody be jealous? That's bizarre. I'm like, ugh. But coming to that point that this is the only way to just strengthen and boundaries, Yeah.
Very important. So that's something you just learned along the way then.
Yes.
Right?
Step by step, and like one step after the next, because the empaths, like people also say perfectionism is and overachievers, and the anxiety that comes from it, trying to please, being a people pleaser. There's a personality disposition, I don't want to say disposition, but a personality type that is especially prone to fall for addiction.
Right. Well, and look at you. You're making magic happen. And so I really hope that with these books of yours that a movie comes of the books. Because that'd be pretty amazing, because you have quite a story.
Two books are very lend themselves for sure for a film. So the first book, I have a comedy written, eating disorders. One scene from the book, a major scene, my last time throwing up, is in there as a little side story because it's amazing. It's really funny. And the other film, I think, would be about a treatment center story, a dirty treatment center story.
The undercover, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I look forward to it because I know it's going to happen. If you're involved, it's going to happen, Anabelle. It's going to happen.
It's meant to be. The treatment center story, undercover thing was a hard one. That was the hardest one for me because I prefer to talk nicely about people and about especially environments that try to help people. And you're not supposed to say there's bad therapy. I didn't even know there was bad therapy, But it is kind of critical, and I'm like, I don't like doing that, but it is important because people who go to, make that major step, like think about it, you keep it secret for so long, and then you finally eat the humble pie, open up because you can't anymore, and then you go, okay, do with me whatever you want, and then you have the wrong person who doesn't really know what they're doing, and then your insurance runs out and you don't really know that you are being released because of that, and you think, yeah, I think I'm healed. Am I? It's a tricky business with therapists that either have problems themselves or are in it for the wrong reasons because they need to pay their bills, especially with illnesses that are about life and death, like eating disorders. Every third person or fourth persons, I think the stats have changed, dies. It's like the deadliest of all mental illnesses. If you have the wrong person, whoops. And you don't even know it because you think automatically, I go to the doctor is always right.
Did you find that the patients were predominantly women, or were there men too?
I was in several places and it was predominantly women, but this is also due to the way there was housing, and like culturally as well. But if you look on Instagram, and if you have girlfriends who are dating and what they're telling you about all the body image issues that the guys have, I think men are just not aware of how, with the keto diet and this and all these restrictive diets and like the extreme working out and the supplements and the shakes and all of that. There is like with men, they're maybe not as aware of, or the obesity, that's a whole other end of the spectrum. So I think it's pretty level. Wow. But men just,
they're not opening up to it, huh?
They're like busy in other, or it's our culture rather that is not making, like, I don't know, it's a cultural thing as well. We could go in depth on this, but I think
it's like, but I feel like things really are shifting though, with this whole COVID lockdown. I think a lot of people are seeing things differently and are starting to pay attention to things they hadn't necessarily paid attention to before. So I think once people can go out again, I think things are going to be different just because there's like this whole new awareness. So
I find amazing. It's like the gift of what's happening right now. I have two little preschoolers at home. Well, one is a kindergartner, the other one is a preschooler. And I'm thinking about all the parents and this year where you're with your kids at home, because I believe firmly that a lack of attention, like to develop that dialogue to your kids, with your kids when they're in that tender age, and just spending the time and being their teacher for a little while,
Right.
So that is pretty special. And I'm actually so pleased to have my two little ones be together as well, because siblings don't have that bond either anymore. So now they have all this time together, no other kids, and they play and bond. It is amazing to watch. And if we take anything away from COVID-19 is that the family has come together, and that hopefully, like it must be pretty crazy for some people as well if you're not used to loudness and work and kids and all of that. But to make it through and have that time together, that will make a big positive impact, I think.
Oh, I agree. It can be exciting. All right, my dear, I have to let you go, but thank you so very much for your time. I greatly admire you, and I'll definitely share the website. It's on Amazon, the Skeleton Keys.
Yes, right? The Skeleton Key. It's the first.
Skeleton Key, Anabelle Munro. You're also on Facebook, which is can they find you?
Recover ED.
Recovery ED. You're on Twitter, Anabelle Munro Books. Right? You are everywhere. Well, I will definitely be sure to type that up into the description part too, because people need to find your book and buy it, because I'll definitely be doing that too. But thank you so very much for your time. I greatly appreciate you, and we need more people like you to just really come out and be the movers and shakers to give people the hope to know it's okay to do it.
And you do know that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Right.
So I'm paying this all back to you, baby.
Oh, well, thank you.
Beautiful and inspiring. I thank you so much for having me and giving me this platform. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I hope to see you at the film festival in August, so fingers crossed that it all
comes
crossed.
Oh my God.
Right? Okay. Time to get out there. All right, my dear, thank you so very much. You take care and have a good, healthy, safe week.
You too.
All right. Talk to you soon. Mwah.
Love you. Bye.